So it's November 8th, 2024, and me and my film partner, James Person, are here at the AFM show, and we are shopping a film called Crawford Road. Now, the Crawford Road film has taken a weird trip, and I'm going to explain it to you now. We filmed it in 2016, 2017. During that time, we were filming on Yorktown Battlefield, and we did not get permits. Anyway, so speed up to 2018, we've now finished the movie, and we get a lot of press on it. We did a documentary thing about Crawford Road and the Colonial Park murders for WTKR TV.
Is that a local news station?
For a local news station, WTKR.
I'm just going to ask you questions
Okay.
as you go through also.
Anyway, so that came out, and we had a premiere coming, and we had a premiere at a local venue called the Boathouse, and we got over probably 500 people because it got a lot of press. Anyway, that happened. We were happy and fuzzy about it. We scored a distribution deal with a distributor. Anyway, so I'm at my music shop, and two NPS officers, which is National Park Service, they served me with a warrant to go to court for filming on park land. And so I didn't feel real good about that. But anyway, I told the distributor about that I had to go to court. And I actually pulled the movie at that point because I was facing a $5,000 fine or up to 5 years in jail. So I was a little worried about it. Anyway, the distributor said, well, let's hold off and wait till the court case is over. So I pulled everything, didn't do anything more with it. I went to court, and
When you say it, you're talking about the movie Crawford Road?
yeah, the movie Crawford Road.
And that is a feature? Or a
Yeah, it's a
documentary?
feature film.
Okay.
Feature film, Crawford Road. Anyway, so I go to court, and when I went to court, they had you plead either guilty or not guilty, but on a piece of paper before you went before the judge. And I didn't fill it out because I was going to plead guilty because yes, I did film on government property. Me and James did. James was never served. But anyway, so I'm nervous, thinking, oh man, I can't afford a big fine, whatever. And I go up before the judge, and he asked me, what do you want to plead, Mr. Price? And I kind of hesitated and said, I'm not sure. I did film there. I guess I should probably plead guilty. And they tried to get me to sign this thing where I pled guilty beforehand, but I didn't do it. And I asked for a continuance. I say, I think I need to get some more legal counsel. And basically, before I said that, the judge basically talked me out of pleading, which I thank him. I don't want to mention his name, but anyway, he could smell there was some kind of First Amendment thing going on. So anyway, I plead. I go. He gives it a continuance. So the next few days, I call Virginia Film Board, and I say, "Is there an entertainment lawyer that I can talk to?" And they set me up. Well, actually, nothing happened for about a week or two, but then they set me up. A lawyer calls me, and she said, well, I'll see what I can do, and I'll ask around. 3 weeks later, nothing's happening. I have my court date coming up in a couple of weeks, and then I get a phone call, and the same lawyer says, we want to have a conference call with you and another lawyer who's interested in your case. So I'm like, oh great, I'm going to get some good, advice, if anything, on how to deal with this. Anyway, so a Friday comes, we set it for a Friday, and we're on a conference call, and the lawyer and Robert Corn Revere are online, and he starts asking me questions and whatnot, and he says, Mr. Price, we want to handle your case pro bono. And I was like just flabbergasted, because after they did this, I looked up Bob Corn Revere, and he was the #1 attorney for #1
First Amendment.
Yeah, he's the #1 First Amendment attorney in the United States and really the world. And he wanted to handle my case, and so I was like, holy crap. But anyway, so we get to do the paperwork, blah blah blah. My court date's in 2 weeks. The first thing they do is do a writ. As soon as the federal Virginia lawyers seen it, they dropped the case right away. So I was out of that part of it. After that, Bob Corn Revere asks me, do you want to take this case further? And I'm like, heck yeah. So they take it to a federal court in DC, and I don't know, maybe 6 months later or something, I forget the timing. They overturn that filming in a federal park and finding somebody for commercial use is against the Constitution, and the judge agreed with it. And that's what the whole thing was about, was our right to film on federal lands, and our right to film on federal lands. When a regular person can go there with a camera and shoot it, but I can't, because it's for commercial use. Anyway, so they overturned it. So for a good 8 months, it was legal to film on federal lands for commercial use. What also came out of it is that the MPS was fining YouTube bloggers on YouTube, nature bloggers, and they were fining them like $2,000. Anyway, all these nature bloggers were blogging about the court case, which was Price versus Garland, and then later it turned to Price versus Barr. The whole process of all the legal proceedings took about 5 years or so. So, a year later, another higher court, because the government appeals because they lost the case, they appealed, and that court overturned the lower judges that it was legal to film commercial on government lands. So that happened, we were bummed. So the next thing, okay, Bob Corn goes, do you want to take it to the Supreme Court? So fast forward 2 years, they big writ for the Supreme Court. Literally, you have to submit a book this big to do a Supreme Court, just the filing of it, and it takes. They spend a lot of money anyway, and the MPPA and a lot of big boys, Getty Images, and a lot of the Fire, and a lot of big guys were involved. I had a lot of friends at the court. Anyway, the Supreme Court refused to hear it. So technically now it was illegal to film on federal lands for commercial uses. So what did happen out of it is the MPS, National Park Service, changed their rules and said, okay, you can film if you have 5 people or less on a tripod, not bringing in a bunch of equipment. you can now film on public land. Still wasn't totally legal, but they were going to allow it. And it led to the Explorer Amendment, which has been passed by the House and is going for the Senate. It's supposed to pass that, yes, it is legal to film on parkland with a tripod and a camera and a small crew, 5 people, no more. So even though we were disappointed in the Supreme Court not hearing it, it did lead to this Explorer Act, and a lot of nature bloggers are really happy about that. And the fight still goes on.
Thank you, Gordy. It was excellent.
Yeah.